With the Football European Championship starting this week, it got me thinking, what if there was an international tournament for F1? So in this video we're going to be discussing, what if there was an F1 World Cup? Now for this I chose 10 nations with the best drivers for both past and present, because in this video we're going to be doing one grid of just current drivers and one grid of drivers for all time. The countries I chose were Germany, England, France, Brazil, Finland, Canada, Russia, Australia, Holland and Spain. Now they don't all have to be F1 drivers, especially for the current one, because I'm going to have to use some current F2 drivers for Holland and for Australia. I'm sure you can guess who they are. Let's get straight in to the current F1 grid. Now first up we've got Germany. There are only two German drivers in Formula 1 currently, and that's Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, who I'm sure you'd agree are very good drivers, especially Vettel, and he reminded everybody last weekend in Baku with his podium. Now Mick Schumacher, young, quite aggressive, but still consistent driver, beating his teammate consistently, although that is only Nikita Mazepin. But I think that'll be a great driver lineup for Germany, and that'll be one of the strongest that we get. Next up, we've got England. Now, there are three English drivers currently in Formula 1, and that's Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, and George Russell. Now, we need to pick two of those. Now, I'm sure everybody watching this can agree that one of those has to be Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, 98 wins, 100 pole positions. I don't think much more needs to be said. So now we need to decide between Lando Norris and George Russell. Two very good drivers. Lando Norris especially been performing very well this season. But this F1 World Cup is going to be in equal cars. And last time Lando Norris and George Russell were in sort of equal cars was F2. And George Russell won quite convincingly. And although Lando Norris has been getting the better results recently, he's in a much better car. So I'm going to go with George Russell to partner Lewis Hamilton, because I think he's overall the better driver. Next up we got France. Now there are only two French drivers currently in Formula 1, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. Now they don't really get on, but they're going to get on for this team, because we've got to put them both in. They've both been performing extremely well this season. Esteban Ocon beating Fernando Alonso in his very experienced teammate over the past 6 races. And of course Pierre Gasly got that podium in Baku, and he's been doing well the whole season. So I think the French team will do pretty well. Next up we got Brazil. Now there are currently no Brazilian drivers in Formula 1, although they've got a rich history of drivers in F1. So firstly, we're going to have to go over to Formula E and Lucas Di Grassi. Now, he raced for one season in Formula 1 2010 for Virgin, and in season 3 of Formula E 2016-17 he actually won the title. He's one of the longest serving and best Formula E drivers. And to partner him, we're going to have to go to F2 and Felipe Drugovich. Now, he's got 3 wins in his Formula 2 career, and he's a good prospect for the future, although I think this Brazil team might be one of the worst teams that we have. Next is Finland, and there's only 2 drivers currently from Finland in Formula 1, and that's Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen being a world champion, and Valtteri Bottas have won multiple races, both very strong drivers. I know Valtteri Bottas gets a lot of criticism, but he's a good driver. He's just not as good as Lewis Hamilton in the same car, and that's why he gets the criticism. And Kimi Räikkönen is old, he's getting on a bit. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still a very solid driver. Right, next up is Canada. Now, they've only got 2 Formula 1 drivers currently, and that's Nicholas Latifi, who drives for Williams, never scored a point, gets beat by his teammate every week. And Lance Stroll, decent driver, not very good at qualifying, except if it's in Turkey and the wet, and then he can get pole. But altogether, Stroll's decent. Latifi's not very good, in my opinion, so I think it's probably the worst driver lineup we've had so far. The next country on the list is Russia. Now, Russia's only got 1 Formula 1 driver. I'm sure you know who that is. And Daniel Kvyat, last season raced for AlphaTauri, former Toro Rosso and Red Bull driver as well, current Alpine reserve driver. Very good driver in my opinion. Quite underrated by a lot of people, especially Red Bull. And he's definitely the better of the 2 drivers in this team. But I think Russia is one of the weaker teams as well so far. Next one was Australia. Now, I'm sure you all know there's only one Australian F1 driver currently in Formula 1, and that's Daniel Ricciardo. Recently joined McLaren, having a bit of a tough time. I recently made a video about that if you want to go and check it out. But apart from the recent results, he's a very good driver, and I'm sure he'll get back there soon. Now, to partner him, we're going to have to go into F2, and Oscar Piastri, he's F3 champion, a very good driver, and I think a solid lineup. Not the best out there, but definitely not the worst. Then we've got Holland or the Netherlands. Now, the only Dutch driver in Formula 1 currently is Max Verstappen. Great driver. Could be world champion this season, we'll see. But again, we're going to have to go into F2 for the second driver. And Richard Verschoor, decent driver. Probably not as good as Oscar Piastri, but we don't know really. And finally, the final country is Spain. There are two Spanish drivers in Formula 1, and they're very good as well. First is Fernando Alonso, two-time world champion, won many races. Great driver. Currently not doing so well compared to his teammate Esteban Ocon, but I'm sure that'll come. He's only recently joined the team. And then another person that's recently joined a new team, Carlos Sainz, but he has started in well. He's been doing very well for Ferrari, almost matching Leclerc for only a few races. So that's one of the best lineups on this grid, I reckon. Okay, so thanks for watching, everybody. Please make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this kind of thing. I might do another one of these, but of all time, so any driver ever. So make sure to subscribe, stick around if you want to see that. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and goodbye. Goodbye.